What do you do when nobody is looking? I really believe that it defines who you are as a man. We're going to get to that right after this on the Manlihood Mancast.
Are you ready to live life to the full? Are you ready to rise up and live a life of honor? Are you ready to boldly step into a life of courage? This is the Manlihood Mancast, and here's your host, Josh Hatcher.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the Manlihood Mancast. I'm your host, Josh Hatcher. And listen, I am here to talk to you guys today about integrity. And we're going to break into that, but before we do, I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can support what's happening here at Manlihood. We recently have hit some milestones, and we are charging ahead with our mission to help men be better men. This is a mission, this is a movement, and you can be a part of it by sharing this episode with somebody that you believe needs to hear it. Don't share it passive-aggressively like, oh, you should listen to this. No, like, share it and have a conversation and say, this episode resonated with me and I think it'll resonate with you. I've been struggling in this area. How about you? Okay? Share it with the intention of helping build men up. Also, if you want to be built up, we have our private Facebook group, the Manlihood Man Cave. I want you to join there because what's happening there is something exciting. It's men building each other up, not tearing each other down, but helping each other level up as men together. So please, go to Facebook, type in Manlihood Man Cave. It'll come up. You can join the page. You'll have to send a request and then answer a couple questions to get approved because I'm not going to let ladies in there. I'm not going to let somebody in there that is not a man. This is for men to level up. Now let's get into the heart of today's episode. What happens when nobody else is looking? What happens when it's just you? That really defines your integrity. And I believe that integrity is one of the prime pillars of masculinity. I think that a good man is a man of integrity. Now, you can be a man of poor integrity or a man who struggles with integrity, but I want you to really look at your life. I know that I have to do this often, and I want you to do it with where you're at right now. The word integrity comes from the root word integer, which is a mathematical term, and it means whole. An integer is a whole number. That whole number is complete in itself. It is a complete whole number. If something is an integral part of something, it means it's a very important part of it that defines it. Right? You've heard these words. You see where I'm going with this. If you're a man of integrity, it means that the person that you are inside is the same person that you are on the outside. There are times in my life when I have not been a person of integrity. There are times when I've had the other kind of whole in my life. We're talking about being whole, W-H-O-L-E. There's been times where I had an H-O-L-E in my life. I had a hole, a gap in my integrity. If my life was a suit of armor, there were chinks in it. There were holes in it where a weapon, a dagger, a spear could get through and they were lethal or damaging. I know there were times that I was not forthcoming with my financial dealings. I would borrow money and not tell my wife. Racked up some debt, then hide it, then hid it from her. And it was painful for her because she didn't know what was going on. And if I'm making a pledge to have integrity in my relationship with my wife, she needs to know these things. But I kept it from her. Now that's paid off, it's taken care of, and I can breathe freely now. But I even had problems in my life that weren't related to that that came out of that. Trouble sleeping. I had anxiety that would creep in, that would make me nervous, that would get me upset. I don't have that anymore. I don't have to have that anymore in that area because I have opened up and I've been honest and I've been real and I've chosen to operate in integrity. There are other areas of my life that I have been less than whole. I remember a time when I made some decisions in my business to get back at a person who refused to pay. And so I did some things that were pretty slimy. Now, I'll say this. It didn't get very far. It didn't make an impact. It didn't hurt anybody. It got stopped before it got far. But my reaction to this person's poor business decision that affected me was to retaliate instead of just moving forward. And it showed a lack of integrity on my part. And you know what? I paid for that. So I say these things because I want you to know and understand I am not perfect. And if you look at the history of my life, I think that the history of my life shows that I'm a man working towards integrity. I also want to make it clear I don't know that we ever are completely 100% full of integrity. I think it's something that we are gradually moving toward. I'm better today than I was yesterday, and 2 months ago, and a year ago, and 7 years ago, and 10 years ago. I can look back on the person that I was in my past, and I can say that I was actually not the best man. I was not a good man. I was on the surface a good man, but I was making secret decisions, and I had secret thoughts, and I was doing things in a way that didn't honor the man that I'm supposed to be. It didn't honor the other people in my life. I suffered from a lack of integrity. I wasn't honest with myself. In fact, some of these things, some of the deep, dark, secret stuff that I'm not going to share on a public podcast, right? Some of that stuff, I even lied to myself and convinced myself to push it down and stuff it and ignore it and pretend it never happened. And convinced myself. Honestly, I just never thought about it. I'm like, nope, not going to think about that. But you know what? When we do that, when we stuff it, when we hide it, when we do things we shouldn't be doing, when we're acting out of integrity, it always comes out. It does. I was giving a sermon in church, and I told the story of how in my past I had a problem with pornography. Now, I'm not having a problem with pornography now, and I wasn't at the time that I told this story. But as I told that story, a woman came up to me afterward and told me that she really appreciated me being honest and talking about it. She had heard about some of those issues from somebody else, from a rumor many, many years ago, and she told me about her husband who had told her about it and was very judgmental behind my back about me when he heard that I had had an issue with pornography. He said, I can't believe him. How dare he? I can't believe that's the gross, and went on and on. And then this woman believed him and took on that mindset about it. Now, I will say, after that man had a better understanding of who I was. We became friends. We moved forward. I didn't know that that was happening behind the scenes. But here we are years later. This man had passed away. And this woman came up to me and she said, thank you for sharing about your struggle. I want you to know that I judged you years ago when I found out that you had that issue. I judged you. And my husband judged you. And then after he died, I found out that he had been looking at porn and hiding it from me. I got his computer, I got his phone, and I found out. And I was so angry at him. That was her words to me. Now, I share that story because I think it really illustrates the fact that if you think that you can get away with hiding a part of your character that is flawed, that is broken, that is messed up, you can't. You can't hide it for long. It will always come out. I believe that. I believe that every lie in our lives, every failure, every flaw, eventually will come out. Especially if we are moving forward in the right direction, trying to do good things. If there's good stuff inside of you, it wants to come out. If there's bad stuff inside of you, it wants to come out. My son one time was playing with some of his buddies in a swamp, and they were having like a mud war or something, and they took off their shoes and they were kind of walking around in the swamp, and then his toe got stuck into a piece of metal, like a metal pipe or something that was under the mud, and it ripped open his toe, like in between his toes. His flesh was opened up, and then all that mud and organic debris in the swamp got up in there inside of his foot. And we took him to the ER, and they cleaned him all up and stitched him all up and sent him home. And it wasn't just a few days later and his foot swelled up like a balloon because there was still stuff in there. What do you think happened if he just left it in there? It would kill him because it would eventually turn septic and he would die. We had to have all kinds of tests to try to make sure we got it out. He had x-rays, he had sonograms and all this stuff because they kept finding junk in his foot. It was pretty traumatic. He was young and it was a scary time for him. But what my point is that his body eventually, over time, kept rejecting that foreign material. First, it would send all of the white blood cells in to do business, right? And to fight off the infection. And then eventually, little pieces of wood or little pieces of like grass or algae or whatever, all these little pieces that kept coming out. They thought they had it all out in the emergency room, but it wasn't all out. It kept coming out for quite a while. What's on the inside of you wants to come out. And so if you're living in a way that doesn't show who you are, that is a way that does not have integrity, it's going to come out. I don't know who you are. I don't know what your issues are. I mean, I might know who you are and what your issues are because some of my listeners are my friends in real life. And so I do know in some cases. But for some of you, I may never have met you. I could probably guess what some of your issues are if I talked to you for a few minutes because I can a lot of times pick these things up. If you've got a secret drug habit, it doesn't take long before you show your hand in a conversation. If you're an alcoholic, it doesn't take long before that starts to show up and it starts to come out and you reveal your hand. If you are cheating on your wife, it doesn't take long before it comes out. I don't know what your issue is or issues are, but I can tell you this, what we need to strive for, what we need to fight for, what we need to live for is to be men of integrity, whole men. And that is the end goal. Don't hate yourself for being halfway through that goal. You're partway there and you're making progress. And if you're better today than you were tomorrow, that's closer to that goal of being a man of integrity. And people may look at you and say, you are a man of integrity, because when they look at the whole of your life, they see integrity. They see that. They look at you and they can see that and they can make that judgment about you because overall, what they see most is integrity and they see that you have it. I honestly believe while I strive to be a man of integrity, when I look at my life, I can see the holes. If I'm real with myself and I'm honest with myself, which honestly is really the heart of integrity. I believe that integrity is the end goal, to be whole and complete. I don't know that we reach it until it's all said and done, and if we ever do, because even afterwards, it happens, right? We strive for that. In the meantime, someone else can look at you and see integrity, but we should always humbly evaluate ourselves and know where we don't have integrity. So if someone compliments you and say, you're a person of integrity, and you can say, thank you, I'm trying, and I'm getting better every day. That's the right response. If you say, oh, yes, I have integrity, I'm the most integrous person, and I have integrity all over the place, then you really have an issue with cockiness, and that is a hole in your integrity as well. But I'm going to tell you, that's what we should strive for, is to be better tomorrow than we are today, to be better today than we were yesterday. Let's do that. Let's strive for integrity. If you've got things you need to talk about, hop into Manlihood Man Cave on Facebook. Let's work through this. Let's identify some holes that we need to work on, that we need to fix up, that we need to patch up. And it might be uncomfortable. It might be painful, just like pulling that infection out of my son's toes were. But we're going to do that because we want to do the right thing and go the right direction. And we want to be men of integrity. Hey, that's all I've got for you guys today. Listen, I love you. I care about you. And I'll see you next time.
If you want to be a better man, check out our website, manlihood.com, for blogs, videos, and more from our Manlihood team. And you can also join our private Facebook group, Manlihood Man Cave, where you can meet up with a band of brothers who will challenge you and help you on your journey of manhood. This episode is produced by Hatcher Media for manlihood.com. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to the show. Tune in again for more of the Manlihood Mancast.